My boyfriend verbally assaulted my best friend's boyfriend. My best friend is now distant and I don't know whose side to take. F them all, honestly. 2 nights ago my best friend and her boyfriend came to mine and my boyfriend's house for dinner and drinks. I'll call them Jack and Jill, because they definitely went up the hill. This was the first time my boyfriend had met them. Everything was going fine at first. Jill and I were catching up, my boyfriend and Jack were having beers and talking football while my boyfriend manned the barbecue. While we were eating, Jack and Jill brought up that they are looking at rentals in the area. Jill wanted to be closer to her family and her job was one she could do remotely. I was ecstatic to get my best friend back in town. They said Jack was having a hard time finding work though and they needed 2 incomes to be able to afford a place in our area. Jack graduated with a political science degree. He said he'd applied to some local newspapers and some positions for the city. He also had applications with various campaigns and political groups. My boyfriend chimed in and said if Jack was interested he could work for him. My boyfriend runs a small car detailing company. He has 3 work vans that he outfitted for car detailing. Basically he drives to people's homes and cleans their cars. He's booked out months in advance. It's actually quite impressive and he makes good money. He offered to train Jack and pay him $24 an hour to start if Jack could commit to at least a year of working for him. Jack kind of scoffed at the offer and told my boyfriend he didn't spend tens of thousands on a degree to clean cars. Which I can understand. But it did come across as rude. My boyfriend said fair enough. But here's where I think my boyfriend took it to the next level. He asked Jack who was paying for the gas for their road trip. Jack didn't answer. He asked Jack who was paying for their food on the trip. Jack didn't answer. He asked him how they would get approved for a rental if he couldn't verify employment. Jack was visibly getting ticked off. I hinted to my boyfriend he needed to cut it out but he kept going with the questions and eventually Jill interrupted and said it was time for them to leave. This was the first time I'd seen her in a long time and they were supposed to crash at our place that night. Before they left she told me my boyfriend was an a-hole and she wouldn't be coming back if he was there. Boyfriend and I fought all night. I asked him why he couldn't just bite his tongue for the sake of keeping the peace and that everything was going great till that conversation. He told me Jack was pretentious wuss and he was trying to help my friends out by offering him a job. I told him it was a nice gesture but understood why Jack didn't want a blue-collar job making $24 an hour after spending a ton of money on college. He responded by telling me that a blue-collar job is why he's able to pay for this house and all your stuff. I work part-time, but he does cover most of our expenses. This was the first time he's ever thrown that in my face in our relationship. I called him an a-hole. He's been sleeping on the couch. It's been a bad vibe between us. I don't know how to approach the situation. Jill and I have been texting and she said I'm not coming around again unless my boyfriend apologizes to Jack. When I told boyfriend this he said Jack can go flip burgers and F off. I can't leave my boyfriend and I do love him. But I want to be able to hang out with my best friend, especially when she moves back. I don't know what to do. My boyfriend verbally assaulted my best friend's boyfriend. My best friend is now distant and I don't know whose side to take. That night I messaged my best friend Jill and told her that we needed to meet in person, just us, and find a way to make this fall out right. She agreed and told me she had something to tell me. In hindsight I was not prepared for what she told me. We met at a local bar, just the 2 of us, and once again, I was not expecting things to go the way they did. Originally they were supposed to stay the night at our place the night of the barbecue. When they left after the incident they went to Jill's father's and stepmother's house. They weren't expecting them till the following night. When they asked what happened Jack and Jill told them about the job offer incident. And they didn't get the response they were expecting. Turns out, and I don't know how I didn't know this, my boyfriend has been detailing Jill's father and stepmother's cars once a month since before we were even together. They're a well-known real estate team in our area. My boyfriend does their show cars that they use to shuttle around prospective buyers when looking at properties. They had nothing but glowing things to say about my boyfriend. Jill said she told her father in private about the way in which Jack refused the job offer and his comment about not spending thousands on college to clean cars. She said her dad laughed in her face and said, "You know her boyfriend probably makes about as much as I do, if not more, right?" Her dad told her how my boyfriend does almost everyone's cars in his office and that he's referred him to tons of people that he's sold homes to. When Jill told him that he offered Jack $24 an hour with a year-long commitment, he told her that Jack would be a fool not to jump on it and that if he could still get the job they could live with them and save money during that year to put down on a place. He also told her that her and Jack's elitist attitude was troubling and that he raised her better and was disappointed in her. She said she felt like crap about how everything went down and seeing her dad look at her that way made her realize how in the wrong they were. Jill said she was going to talk with Jack when she got home from our meetup and convince him to apologize together to my boyfriend and pray that my boyfriend will still offer Jack the job. I told her I wouldn't hold my breath if I was her and that even I felt like I was on thin ice. That night my boyfriend and I finally talked. I apologized profusely. I told him how wrong I was not to stick up for him. I told him I appreciated him and didn't mean to downplay his job or its importance to us. I told him it was his house and he should never have to listen to anyone disrespect him like that. especially when he was offering his hospitality and trying to help them. Tears started flowing. As I spoke, I realized that I had effed up really badly. Everything kind of became a blur and I started hyperventilating. I was begging him not to leave me and telling him I loved him. He put his arms around me and told me to relax while I bawled in his chest. I hadn't cried like that in a long time. I think the reality that he'd be well justified in kicking me out kinda hit me all at once. After I calmed down, we sat down and he explained why he was so upset. He said he felt my reaction showed that I didn't understand how hard he works to provide us the life we have. He said he doesn't think I understand the struggles he endured to get to where he is. He told me that before he met me and his company was just getting off the ground, he basically lived in one of his work vans for 6 months. He maxed out multiple credit cards and borrowed money from his parents to start everything. He told me that when I said the just clean cars bit, that it really hurt him to hear me downplay his hard work. This hurt me so much to hear. I told him I'm just a stupid, spoiled girl and I was so sorry. I told him I didn't know about his hardships before meeting me. He'd never talked about them. He said, "Well, now you know." I nodded and told him something like this will never happen again. He slept in the bedroom that night and we had amazing intimacy till the early morning hours. The next morning Jill reached out to my boyfriend on Facebook. She asked if she and Jack could come over and talk. He, to my surprise, said yes. They came over that evening. There was an awkward tension you could almost touch. Jill was the first one to talk. She said that she didn't know my boyfriend did her dad's and stepmom's cars. My boyfriend replied with a yep. With a poop-eating grin. Jill said they had nothing but good things to say about him and that they didn't mean to disrespect him and they really appreciated the offer. She said she felt like he was trying to humiliate Jack and she was just sticking up for her boyfriend. When she said that, my boyfriend briefly shot me a look as if to say like you should have. I felt a little sting. He said he understood, and that he felt like he was being looked down on and was just trying to make a point. But that he took it too far. He actually apologized. This is where things took a wrong turn. Jill looked at Jack and said, "Is there anything you want to say, babe?" Jack apologized and asked if the offer still stood. Again, to my surprise, my boyfriend said it did if he could commit to a year. Jack said he had 2 questions. Can he leave if he finds a job in his field and gives 30 days notice? Boyfriend said yes. The next wasn't a question, but more of a demand, and it didn't go well. He said he wouldn't work weekends. Jill looked puzzled and said what? My boyfriend said that wasn't possible. He said the weekends are money makers and working at least Saturdays would be a must. He told Jack on a given Saturday he'd make over $100 in cash tips on top of wages. Jack said he didn't think he could accept the offer then. Jack and Jill started fighting between themselves. They got more and more heated with Jill explaining if they were gonna move then they didn't have a choice and him working Saturdays wouldn't be a big deal and they needed the money. Jack said he needed Saturdays for downtime to job hunt online for jobs in his field. Jill eventually gave up, thanked my boyfriend and said they needed to leave. As they left, my boyfriend couldn't help himself and said, "You know, Jill, if you want some work on the side, you can come work for me on Saturdays. I'll pay you cash under the table and you can keep your tips, you'd probably make a killing." She got a big poop-eating grin, turned to Jack, then back to my boyfriend and said, "You know what? I just might. I really might take you up on that. Thank you for the offer." For some reason I think she was being dead serious. When they were gone, my boyfriend turned to me and said, "I don't think we'll be seeing Jack again." I replied, "I think he might be right." An hour later Jill texted me and told me she's going to break up with Jack when they get back home and she's gonna move in with her parents. She asked if boyfriend was serious about the offer. All in all, this was eye-opening and I think we're closer now.
Am I wrong for telling my sister to stop saying I have pretty privilege and it's her fault she looks ugly? I have a sister who is 25 and I'll call her Tessa. I'm just gonna be blunt and say I look better than her. This is due to her not taking care of herself, and when I say that, I mean when I was staying active, she wasn't. I spend money to get skincare and hair care, and she doesn't even dress nice either. She's always in sweats even if she's going somewhere nice, and overall, I just look better. And I do want to mention for her, money is not a limiting factor. Anyways, every time I see her, she'll comment about the way I look. If I tell a story that turns out good for me, she'll say it's because I'm pretty, and so on. I assume she's jealous and we have had conversations about this. Now I passed my test to get my license for my job, so I was telling the story at dinner and she told me I passed because I'm pretty. I had enough and told her to stop saying it's pretty privilege and that it's her fault she looks ugly, not mine. That's when she left and called me the C word. Am I wrong for not wanting to split the bill with my girlfriend, 1,200 pounds, when she accidentally poisoned our dog with grapes? So my girlfriend and I recently got a rescue dog and everything's been going well. Getting his vaccines, neutering, etc. and all the bills have been split 50-50. He's still uninsured as we do have 1 vaccine left and until that point all treatments need to be paid cash. Well, yesterday I got home from work and my partner wanted to show me the dog's newest favorite treat, grapes. I was shocked to say the least. So off to the emergency vets we go. The treatment we got for him were gold standard to reduce the risk of long-term impact on his liver and kidneys. However, this costed £1,200. I do believe she made a genuine mistake, but the way I see it, it's dog ownership 101, and she's a dog person. And she's had dogs her whole life. It just makes me sick that I have to pay £600 for her feeding our dog 3 grapes. So am I wrong for asking her to pay the entire bill as this was her mistake? Top comment says, if you agreed 50-50, you should pay half, end of story. It's so weird to me because so many people are like pro grapes when it comes to dogs, but it literally is so toxic. I know so many friends and family members that give their dogs grapes and even have tried to give my dogs grapes. And it's just like a big thing people don't know. I don't care if you fed your dogs grapes their whole life.
My disabled brother has ruined my family's life. I plan to put an end to it all tonight. I will go through with it and I don't care about the repercussions. My brother is nonverbal autistic and the biggest effing vegetable I have ever encountered in this godforsaken life. What this spasmoid can't communicate in words he communicates through violence like. Nothing anybody says or does can change his toddler-level mind. He understands no, and he finds it funny. I grew up being told not to show fear or anger in front of him because it would only egg him on. My parents did everything they possibly could for this fat waste of oxygen. When he and I first got diagnosed, they took training and education programs to learn how to best help us with our challenges regarding the turnip. They took him to therapy regularly. They spent countless hours searching for any resources that could help this carrot live a better life. They tried all kinds of medications the psychiatrist suggested, and nothing short of straight-up sedation ever helped. They even sent him off to a temporary residential facility hoping it could provide him the help he needed, and the place sent the nonverbal sausage back saying he was a ray of sunshine and they loved having him. He came home, and within 2 weeks our home was causing ruckus again. I watched this spaz touch my mom and dad. Sexually, very obviously sexually. They'd sit there and do nothing, because it was better than the tantrum he'd throw if they resisted. Everything in our lives was about avoiding setting that piece of human waste off. I watched them wrestle their own son to protect me. I saw the bite mark on my mom's arm, the one she got trying to restrain the dimwit from attacking me. The mark that didn't go away for months, that left nerve damage that still hasn't fully healed. It'll probably never heal. Not without physical therapy, which she'll probably never have time for because caring for that abomination is a 24/7 job. I remember when Dad first started locking himself in his bedroom to keep out his own son at night. What set it off is my brother climbed into Mom and Dad's bed at night and woke my dad up with brain. Every day, I remember hearing my mom's blood-curdling screams from downstairs, her begging the slimy fat disgusting pig to stop. I ran downstairs to find the vegetable pinning him to the ground, tears streaming down her face as she yelled at me to run and get Dad. I remember all the times my mom cried because she felt powerless to help her son. I remember the fights my parents used to have about what the hell to do. The chill, light-hearted, go-with-the-flow father from my early childhood has transformed into a shell of his former self. He rarely talks to anyone anymore. When he does, he's always irritable. He takes anti-anxiety medications now. My mother and I think he has PTSD. From his own child. All Mom ever wanted in life was a happy family. The kind that sits down and eats dinner together, goes on fun trips together, laughs and smiles together and makes good memories. Having that thing destroyed that dream. I refuse to let it destroy mine. I'm going to unalive him tonight in his sleep and frame it as S aside.
Story time on how I put a camera in my best friend's bathroom and found her doing the dirty with my senior citizen dad. Okay, so boom, let's jump right into it. So I'm 14 years old and very much gay, or lesbian rather. I have a huge crush on my best friend who's 16 years old and I'm fascinated by her. She's just the best. I haven't come out yet, so no one knows, but I'm planning on coming out soon and expressing my love to my best friend shortly after. We also change in front of each other, so we're already quite comfy. Well, I saw a video on TikTok that made me buy a cute little bear, and I gave the bear to my best friend. The bear ended up having cameras in it, and I swear I didn't know. Maybe I did. Anyways, I logged into the camera and my best friend had put it in her bathroom. So occasionally I would just watch her brushing her teeth, doing her hair, cleaning up in general. But anytime she showered, I swear I wouldn't look. Yeah, it's a little creepy, but no harm if I don't watch her change, right? Anyways, a week into me watching, one day I called her and she didn't answer. My parents were at work and I was home alone, bored. And since she didn't answer, I decided to just check the cameras to see what she was doing. But this particular time when I looked at the camera, I didn't have to wait because she was already in the bathroom. There's no sound on the video, but I could tell she was laughing and talking to someone, and she was literally naked. I thought, oh, she must have made up with her ex, and I got a little jealous. But then quickly to my surprise, I found out that wasn't the case at all. A man ran into the bathroom after her, picked her up on the wall, and they started making out. Then he carried her back into the room. I can only imagine what then went on in that room. Well, that man was my 56-year-old dad. I dropped my laptop and my jaws dropped. I was just shocked, lost for words. My 56-year-old dad is cheating on my 36-year-old mom with my 16-year-old best friend who I stalked with the hidden camera in her bathroom? So I can't really even say anything, right? I don't know. What should I do? Be careful who you call your friends. Shanquella Robinson planned a trip with her friends to celebrate one of their birthdays. Unfortunately, Shanquella was found dead within 24 hours of arriving to Cabo with these friends. A recent video surfaced of one of her friends, Dejanay, beating a naked Shanquella in the room. One of the other friends told Shanquella to at least fight back while he recorded her naked body be assaulted, but Shanquella responded no.
Can you at least fight back? At least something. At least fight back, something.
She became unresponsive in a room similar to this. The friends called the concierge, who called the doctor, and the doctor performed CPR to Shanquella, and unfortunately she was pronounced dead at 3 p.m. They all left Shanquella's deceased body in Cabo, and they all went back to the U.S. before their trip was over. They then privated all of their social media accounts and told Shanquella's mom that she died of alcohol poisoning. However, the autopsy determined the cause of death to be related to a broken neck and cracked spinal cord, which suggested foul play. Shanquella suffered from a knot on her head, swollen face, split lips, and a swollen eye. No alcohol poisoning whatsoever in the slightest. The group of friends told the mom different versions of what happened, but the autopsy proved the stories to be untrue. Shanquella was a kid braider in North Carolina and also owned a clothing boutique. The police states that there is no evidence of murder or foul play. So what do you think? Accidental or foul play?